If you want to get your students to follow your instructions, it stands to reason that you need their attention first. It's no use talking to them if they're not listening to you. Now that can be really hard to achieve with a tough group of students, a noisy group of students. So in this quick video, I'm going to go through 5 different ways of getting the attention of your students so that when you talk to them, when you give them your instructions, they're actually listening to you. Now, some of these are applicable for older students, some are more suitable for younger students, and they might not all suit your particular teaching style, but they do give you something to think about. They're a good starting point. First one we're going to cover is noisemakers. And noisemakers come in all sorts of shapes and sizes, but the one I use when I'm doing workshops and when I'm teaching is a bugle horn. Now the bugle horn is effective for 2 reasons. One, it's quite loud, so it does get their attention. And the other, it's a little bit silly, it's a bit humorous. And that takes the sting out of getting their attention. Because if you're constantly shouting at them, telling them to look this way, listen to me, I want your attention, it kind of nags them. You get them down. They get annoyed, they get frustrated, they get sick of hearing you. So the noisemaker is a way of getting attention without you constantly shouting at them. And you can use different noisemakers. You can use cymbals, you can use shakers, you can use cowbells, you can use tambourines, any kind of musical instrument, or even just clapping. And you can assign a different noisemaker for a different phase of the lesson, such as the start of an activity or the end of an activity, or to come to the front and sit around the board. Noisemaker is very effective for that. The second one we're going to look at is a routine. Now routines are incredibly effective if they're done right. If you teach your routines, if you reinforce them, if you embed them and make them habitual for your students, what you effectively do is you train them to respond in a certain way, kind of like Pavlov's dogs, but in a positive way. I'll explain one of the routines I use so you can see what I mean. I'll assign the role of shusher to different members of a group. And it's their job to get the group quiet on my behalf, to do my job basically, getting their attention for me. So when I call shushers, the shushers will stand up and they will shush the rest of the group. And a gentle hush tends to descend on the whole group. It's actually surprisingly effective, and the reason why it's so effective is the people I assign that role to tend to be the ringleaders in the group. They tend to be those strong personalities that need attention. They're the ones that are generally usually causing you the most problems. They're the ones that are always acting up and always arguing. The reason why they're doing that is because they need some form of empowerment. They need some form of attention. So you give them that attention in an appropriate way by giving them a responsibility. And it's surprising how often they do respond positively to that and they do act on your behalf. The other reason it's effective is because obviously with those people being the ringleaders, the other students naturally tend to follow them and do as they say anyway. So that routine works really, really well. Another routine you might try is the hands up routine, and you would explain to your students, when I put my hands up and you see me putting my hand up, that means it's time to stop talking. What I need you to do is put your hand up with your mouth closed and look this way. Now some students will see you straight away, and straight away their hands will go up in the air and they'll be quiet, and they might nudge their friends, he's got his hand up. Some students will be writing, busy, or they might just be talking, or they might just choose to completely ignore you. So you basically build in a consequence. The last person to have their hand up, then there's a consequence that follows. And you'll get some students who put their hands up and they carry on talking. Well, that's doubly insulting, so you build in a consequence for them as well. So routines, very, very effective. The next one is the visual reminder. And visual reminders, one of the simplest ones is the traffic lights reminder. Now, this is a small version of the traffic lights. What you would have is much bigger cards, and you might want to cut them into circles so that they do actually look like traffic lights. Basically, it works like this. You've got green, and when the green card is up on the wall, that means noise levels are fine. Noise levels are perfectly acceptable. Carry on working. Wonderful. If noise levels get too high, then you might put a warning on the board, and that's your amber traffic light, or in this case yellow, because we haven't got an amber card. And when students see the amber card up, then they know it's time to be wary and start dropping noise levels a bit. But if they carry on, if they get too high, you explain to them that when the red card is up, as soon as that red card goes up, they have 30 seconds to stop talking and be looking this way. And we stop the activity and we start again from green once we've got them quiet. So that's one way of using visual reminders. And again, visual reminders just take away your need to be using your voice all the time. Next, we've got the unexpected. And the unexpected is absolutely guaranteed to get the attention of any group, because it works like this. Your students are used to coming into the room and seeing things set out in a certain way. But what you do is you completely bamboozle them by setting things up in a totally different way. You might have some equipment set up, you might have a demonstration set up, you might have all the lights off and some music playing in the background. You might have some props wrapped up in a bag or a box. You might even have some refreshments set out in the corner of the room. Your students are naturally inquisitive, everyone is. And so as soon as they see this break in the norm, they want to know what's going on. What's all this about? What's going on? What's that for? What's that for? And that gives you the perfect time to say, I'll tell you as soon as you're quiet. And in their desperation to know what's going on, it's likely that they'll quieten each other down. Okay, the last one is the countdown, and it's probably one of the most effective and well-known ways of getting a group quiet. It's basically a routine, and you count down from 10 to 1 or 5 to 1, and on your way down, you're praising those who are doing it right and you're explaining what they've got to be doing. Okay, so it would be 5. I need everyone packed up. You need to be sat down in your own seat, looking this way, with your books away, your equipment away, and all rubbish off the floor. Okay, fantastic, that table. You're doing it straight away. And that table. Thank you very much. 4, let's go. Okay, well done, this table. That's brilliant. I can see you picking all the rubbish up. Thank you very much. 3, we're nearly there. We're just waiting for this table to stop talking and get that rubbish off the floor. Thank you very much. Well done. 2, nearly there, all looking this way now, bags on the top, thank you very much. 1, brilliant, absolutely great. Okay, 5 ways to get attention from a group of students.